A very good afternoon. You're watching NewsX and I'm Shivani Singh. We're tracking the biggest news of the day. Marco Rubio is in India. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio on Saturday landed in New Delhi to attend the Quad Foreign Ministers Summit and will also be attending and meeting Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Earlier, Rubio on Saturday in fact began his maiden 4-day visit to India by visiting Mother House, the headquarters of St. Teresa's Missionaries of Charity in Kolkata. He is scheduled to hold wide-ranging talks with External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, in addition to meeting Prime Minister Narendra Modi and attending a meeting of the Quad Foreign Ministers in New Delhi. Rubio's India itinerary, scheduled from May 23rd to 26th and also encompassing Agra, Jaipur and New Delhi, is being viewed as diplomatically significant for his scheduled energy talks with India and the meeting with the foreign ministers of the Quad nations. The visit will be closely watched as it comes against the backdrop of the US's continued engagement in hostilities in the Persian Gulf region, which have had consequences for India's energy security. Responding to a question about India being affected by high energy prices due to the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, Rubio described India as a great partner and said that he was looking forward to meeting with ministers from the Quad nations as well. Let me introduce the guests who are joining us for this broadcast. Mithali Nikore, who is an economist, Major General Sudhakarji, defense and geopolitical expert, Professor Karori Singh, foreign affairs expert, and Ambassador Sushil Singhal, who is a former diplomat. Thank you so much to all for taking out your time for speaking to NewsX, and a very good afternoon to all of you. Let me start off this discussion with Ambassador. Ambassador, Marco Rubio's visit comes at a very significant time. Obviously, we are looking at the US-Iran-Israel war still ongoing, no end in sight, hostilities continue, ceasefire seems to, be collapsing, but also on the fact that Trump was in China just last week. There are a lot of countries that are comparing the two visits. And it also comes at a time when India and US have been seeing strained ties over the past 6 to 7 months, Ambassador. So how are you looking at Marco Rubio's visit and how much significance are you giving it?
Well, Shivani, thank you very much for having me. The thing is that the visit of the Secretary of State is taking place after, Trump 2.0, after about 18 months of the Trump coming into power in the States. So I think this is the first time that such a gap has taken place, and the reasons for what happened is very obvious, because Trump 2.0 has been, they started with great expectations for the Indo-India US ties, but with this trade and tariff issues which President Trump brought in, the ties became a bit difficult. And of course, we all know the story, what happened. So what I see is that it is an attempt now on the US side to reset the ties and give assurance to India that what has happened, maybe, they will try to, there are going to be, in my view, a frank talk between the two sides and on the expectation and what is really happening. So what I see is that, because when Marco Rubio, when he spoke about, India's visit, he picked all the boxes at the time. He made the right noises about the relationship and of course about the oil, Venezuela oil, American oil, all those points and strategic ties, the importance the America attaches. So, but what actually transpired during the visit is going to be very important. What my view is that, there is going to be, reassurance from the American side on the strategic importance of the ties, that these ties are very important for them and for India, both sides. So he'll try to emphasize, and Quad, there is going to be this meeting, foreign ministers are going to meet. Quad is something, which was revived by President Trump, but Trump 2.0, he has not paid that much of attention. Marco Rubio also said, I think that we missed about the second meeting in the later half. So whether he was talking the foreign ministers meeting or was talking something else, that I think will also come out when the discussions takes place. Energy and trade, I think, is going to be very important for the discussions because the trade, we know that the agreement is still not finalized, and energy, we have this issue of imports of by India of the Venezuelan oil, Russian oil, and American oil. Of course, from Venezuela, we have last 2 months we are importing a lot of oil. And defense and technology, again, we have some frictions there,
Right,
some issues. I think
right.
that also will come in. And China, you mentioned about the US-China dynamics. So I expect that Indian side will expect a briefing from them on what transpired, and of course Iran. I'll stop here. Thank you.
Right, right, Ambassador. I come to you to discuss these points further, but let me also rope in General Sudhakar into this discussion. General Sudhakar, this defense, ties between US and India, obviously India will be looking to expand that further, but we want technology transfer, sir. And that is something that US seems to be very hesitant in giving forward. We also want to in fact push for more faster supplies of say for example the GE engines that we require for our Tejas aircraft or other equipment that we seek to bring in from the US. So on the defense front, sir, what do you think that Marco Rubio will in fact be discussing, because he also holds the portfolio of being the national security advisor for the United States?
Yes, Shivani, good afternoon. Thank you for taking me for your show, and my warm greetings to all the distinguished and esteemed co-panelists. As regards the question which you have raised, I would say as a student of geopolitics, the question is constantly coming to my mind as to why India adopted strategic autonomy and why not a reciprocity. I personally feel reciprocity at some point in time has to be given out of ordinary priority so that India, of a population of 1.45 billion and as a shining spot, rising economy, is not taken for granted. You have very rightly alluded to issues regarding the aerospace engine, which has put India behind by about more than 2 years, and also almost pushed us to a state wherein our security is virtually going to be compromised from all aspects. So, and besides that, there are many other issues. We all know what has happened between January 2025 till date. So, I feel that America is not a country to be trusted, and we need to, even if foreign policy doesn't allow us to articulate or call it out that loudly, but we need to behave and respond in a manner which should convey the message loud and clearly. Our dependence on USA, one can take it, whether it is Marco Rubio or anybody else, they simply as a country cannot be trusted. So it is better that India looks around for countries from where we can rely on with and don't waste time. Don't, be it Beka or Comcasa or Limoa or whatever you say, it will be putting India behind by those many years. America has made it very clear. That is why Z in 2013, as also in the latest summit with Donald Trump, he alluded to a term called a Thucydides trap. I don't know whether Donald Trump and his team understood or not, but Thucydides trap has to be understood from the perspective. If India has to use that in a comprehensive context,
Right.
then their deputy secretary of State Department who came and attended Raisina dialogue, I think 2 or 3 months back, a deputy secretary telling a country of India's size and size and the orientation that
Right.
India
Right.
has, that America will not allow India to be the second China. What more are you waiting for?
Right. Absolutely.
Isn't it time, even if they try to make these bahanas of resetting ties, India should be very pragmatic and get back to its strategic autonomy. Why have
Okay. General, I believe there is some technical glitch with your, connection over there. If I can request you to just, fix that. General, if you can hear us.
we
Yeah.
have we are
All right. General Sudhakar, there
expecting
seems to be a technical issue. We cannot get your audio. If you can fix that for us, please. For the time being, let's in fact introduce some more information.